and welcome our beloved viewers to RTD's News English Edition. As usual, we'll begin tonight's news with the major and top highlights. Let's follow. Signature of a conciliation contract and a tripartite framework agreement for the construction of a solar plant in Grand Barra. Departure of the Somali president after a 48-hour state visit. And on the international scene, we got at least 7 dead in floods in Sudan. Those were the major and top highlights. Welcome back to our newsroom, our beloved viewers. The president of Somalia, Mr. Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, left this morning Djibouti after a 48-hour state visit. Let's follow. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, accompanied his counterpart to the International Airport of Djibouti. In addition to the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, the Prime Minister, Mr. Abdul Ghadir Kamil Mohammed, the President of the National Assembly, Mr. Muhammad Ali Hamad, as well as members of the government and high-ranking civilian and military dignitaries were present at the airport. During his visit, the two heads of state held face-to-face talks as well as extended meetings to discuss ways to strengthen and consolidate the historical and privileged relations of the two brotherly countries, Djibouti and Somalia. Djibouti and Somali relations are strong and solid. They are one people who share relations woven by historical, cultural, geographical, and even linguistic ties, said in substance the President in their joint statements. The distinction of the Somali President, Mr. Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, by his Djiboutian counterpart, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, by a Medal of High Dignitary of the Order of the Great Star of Djibouti, which corresponds to the highest distinction in the National Order of Merit, Djibouti, at the end of an official dinner given by President Ismail Omar Guelleh in honor of his Somalian counterpart, were a strong moment that symbolized the excellence of relationship of the two presidents and the two brotherly countries. In addition to the talks, the Somali president had to deliver an important speech at the National Assembly. He expressed his thanks and gratitude to the president and the Djiboutian people for their sacrifices for peace and stability in Somalia. Accompanied by the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, the Somali president have made a visit to the exhibition center Red Sea World to see the infrastructure and architect of this future business center and finance complex of Djibouti. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, received this morning at the Palace of the Republic the CEO and founder of the UAE Group, Amir Power, Mr. Hussein Al Nawas, accompanied by the Director of Project, Mr. Bassam bin Tahir, for the signing of a conciliation contract and the tripartite framework agreement for the construction of a solar photovoltaic power plant in the Great Barra. This audience of the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, with the CEO of the group, EMA Power, comes after the handing over of studies of the project between the Ministry in charge of Natural Resources and the Servant Fund of Djibouti, a partner in this national project in energy with the group EMA for the realization of this project. Then the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, sponsored the signing of a contract between the Ministry of Energy in charge of natural resources, Mr. Yunus Ali Guedé, and the founding president of AEMA Power, Mr. Hussein Ali Nawaz, in a tripartite framework agreement between the CEO of the AEMA Group and the Director of the Sovereign Wealth Fund, as well as the Director General of the EDD, for the construction of a solar power plant in the Great Bara with a capacity of 25 to 30 megawatt. The UAE AEMA Power Group is a re-owned company specialized in the construction, maintenance, and operation of energy infrastructures. This concession contract and distributed framework agreement between ADD FSD AEMA Power for the construction of a solar photovoltaic power plant aims to develop the country's potential in renewable energy. The Director General of the Electricity Company of Djibouti, Mr. Jama Ali Guelleh, stressed the importance of signing this agreement. Let's listen to him.
The General Manager of Electricity of Djibouti, Mr. Jama Ali Guelleh, stressed the need to increase electricity production in Djibouti, stressing that the President of the Republic pays great attention to the exploitation of renewable energy sources. We could not implement the project with the French company, which we had started in the past, but we found this Emirati company, said Mr. Jama Ali Guelleh. In this regard, he expressed his great pleasure to have concluded the agreement to build a solar power plant with the AMEA Power Group, especially in view of the constant increase in electricity consumption. This will allow us to meet the growing demand for electricity. On the other hand, the General Manager recalled that there are other projects to exploit wind energy, noting that this initiative would reduce the country's dependence on oil, which increases from time to time, unlike wind and solar energy. Finally, he added, once production increases, electricity prices will drop significantly.
For his part, the CEO of the Emirate company AEMA Power, Mr. Hussein Al Nawaz, thanked the President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, for the warm welcome. He indicated that Djibouti has a significant potential of natural resources and renewable energy, that the future energy in the world, and we are delighted to contribute to the realization of this project, he concluded. For his part, the director of the Djibouti Servant Fund indicated that today is a historic day for the Servant Fund, as the first investment agreement for the solar energy project was concluded. As for the Minister of Energy in charge of Natural Resources, Mr. Yunus Ali Guedé, he addressed the stages of the construction project of the solar power plant. Shifting gears, after the broad consultation with key stakeholders, the National Financial Inclusion Strategy for the year 2022-2027 was finally launched this morning at the Kempinski Palace Hotel, served as the auditorium for the ceremony organized by the Ministry of Economy and Finance in collaboration with the Central Bank and UNDP. The mission of the National Strategy for Financial Inclusion will be to facilitate the access of the population to formal financial services. In addition, the National Strategy for Financial Inclusion will have the effect of strengthening the capacities of financial system actors, consolidating the availability of decentralized financial systems, and increasing the development of digital financial services. It aims to develop an inclusive financial sector offering quality service and products designed to meet the needs of a wide range of clients, from the marginalized to the most sophisticated segments, contributing to a more equitable economic development. The development of the National Strategy for Financial Inclusion is the first step on the road to financial inclusion, and its implementation requires a greater level of collaboration among stakeholders. According to this presentation, the specific actions of the said strategy in the direction of the banking and microfinance sectors are divided into 5 strategic areas. The government of the Central Bank, Mr. Ahmed Usman, said in his speech that in order to put in place all the necessary measures, the Central Bank has been working hard to promote the development of the financial sector so as to build a dynamic, efficient, and viable inclusive sector so that it can fully contribute to the socio-economic expansion of our country. As for the Minister of Finance, in a detailed statement, he identified the major challenges that currently stand in the way of financial inclusion for all and put in place the appropriate reforms to accompany these measures. in the framework of the improvement of the quality of natural care and the reinforcement of human resources competence. A training workshop on mutual restoration took place at the meeting room of Dar Al Hanan Hospital in collaboration with the American base. The training was arranged by an American nurse military team and consisted of the first gestures in natural resuscitation as well as in the newborn as well as the mother in sepsis. This essentially practical training is a sharing of experience and skills between the nurses of the Dar Al Hanan Hospital and their American peers will be spread out over several weeks within the hospital of reference of the mother and the child. Exim Bank opened this morning a branch at Piki 23. Let's follow. Opened this morning a branch at Piki 23 within Djibouti International Free Zone, the second free zone branch. Indeed, the second branch is the result of the regional expansion policy of the Exim Bank Group. This bank is positioned today as a key player in regional integration in the eastern part of Africa through its subsidiaries in Uganda, Comoros, and Ethiopia. For this purpose, the bank offers products to seduce its customers, an international banking service allowing you to transfer and receive funds in 24 hours, counters open from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. without any interruption from Sunday to Thursday with a half-day service on Saturday. In short, apart from these financial offers, Exim Bank as a company participates in the development of the country through the creation of youth.
We are very happy to see you as a customers here and partner. The presence of the Exim Bank in the free zone, it's a long story. We started this journey 12 years ago, and 10 years ago we were the first one to implement a branch in the free zone at DDP. And today we are still positioning ourselves as a pioneer. We are opening this branch as the first bank to open a branch in this Djibouti International Free Trade Zone. Our mission here is the translation of our strategy to be a regional bank. Exim Bank is a regional bank. We have a head office in Tanzania, branches in Uganda, Comoros, and a representative is in Ethiopia. Our presence in this region is translated by our strategy. We propose the service to the locals, but also we propose a service that connects the country to the international markets.
During the day of July 17, 2022, the Djiboutian Coast Guard has set up an important search and rescue operation following the sinking caused by the rough sea in the winds of Khamsin of a commercial boat carrying 15 tourists, 14 of Spanish and 1 Djiboutian, occurred around 10:30 a.m. in the anchorage area of the port of Djibouti in the direction of the Musha and Maskele Islands. An important device for patrol boats of fast intervention, the big patrol boat P6 divers, was deployed at sea to assist the shipwreck. The operation took place under the difficult conditions as the Khamsin winds were blowing very strongly, making the sea extremely rough. Fortunately, apart from some minor injuries due to the shock of the wreck suffered by some passengers, no serious injuries were reported, and the shipwrecked were all rescued and brought back safely on land. The rescuers were taken to the fishing port where they were given first aid medical assistance by doctors and nurses of the Djiboutian Coast Guard Medical Center. The first elements of the preliminary investigation indicate that the exit of the boat was done illegally, the operator having provided false information to leave the fishing port and embark the tourists in the port of Djibouti. After Djibouti City, it was the turn of the interior regions to participate in the summer festival. The honor fell first to the region of unity, Dakhel, to launch its sports, recreational, and especially traditional activities. Under the auspice of the Secretary of State for Sports, the regional sub-directorate has organized a myriad of activities in the capital and localities. This included soccer, martial arts, penetech, and especially traditional wrestling. The event took place in the presence of the President of the Regional Council of Dakhel, the Director of Regions, the Coordinator of Sports, the Deputy Director of Sports of Dakhel, the Executive of the Direction of Sports, the experienced Osman Gelle, and several other personalities from the world of sports and the region. Through these activities, the Secretary of State for Sports intends to preserve and promote this wealth. The SES supports associations organizing events that include the practice of traditional sports games. We have learned of the death of the late Nima Ahmed Ahmed, aged 75 years old, on Thursday, July 14, 2022, after a long illness. The late Nima, resident of City Hodan, was the wife of the former member of the National Assembly, Mr. Elmia Fas. She leaves behind 7 children and 24 grandchildren. We send our sincere condolence to her family and relatives and wish the Almighty to welcome her in His eternal paradise. Amen. Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Shifting gears towards the international scene now, torrential rains in the Darfur region of Sudan have killed at least 7 people. The floods have also caused material damage, according to an NGO operating in the area. At least 100 houses have collapsed or been partially damaged in camps for displaced persons. According to the UN, since the beginning of the rainy season, which lasts from June to September, more than 6,000 people have been affected by the floods, mainly in the south of the country. Well, by this, our beloved viewers, we conclude this edition. Thank you for being with us, and make sure to tune in later for more. Have a wonderful evening and take care. Thank you.